Welcome to another episode of Change. All changes, whether good or bad, we are responsible for it. Sometimes we think that we do not play much a significant role in it. No matter how small a role we play, change often takes all of us together. Whether we want to change, whether we don't want to change is altogether a different ballgame. Not choosing to change can often cause a lot of harm to us. But when must we change? How must we change? Where must we change? Is a question that is perpetual. With the changing times, with the changing worlds, a lot of things have changed. One of the things that has changed is our emotional quotient. How we react to emotions, how our emotions have changed a lot, is something that we have to explore. And today, in the studio, we have Rajyogini Brahmakumaris Sister Usha with us. Didi, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
When we talk about emotions, everybody is emotional. And sometimes people think that you must not be so emotional. And sometimes we describe another person like, oh, he or she is very emotional. You have to be very careful before you talk to them. Now, emotion is something natural to all human beings. Sometimes people say that even animals have emotions.
Emotions, yes.
So, when we talk about another person that, oh, he or she is emotional, we kind of label it with a hint of negativity to it. We think that it is not a quality. Oh, he is emotional, so let's be careful, is what we think. That is the word of caution when we label somebody emotional. So everybody has emotions, and yet we say that emotional is not a very good thing. So what is this thing about emotion?
As far as I have known about emotions are literally termed when a person becomes reactive. When there are good emotions, well, it is not said to be good emotions, but we say or term as feelings, good feelings and negative emotions. So both are connected with the feelings only. But when it becomes negative or reactive, then we label it as emotions. And that is why people become cautious when they see somebody who is very emotional, or they call them very delicate person. So you have to be careful with this person, because suddenly, and in today's age, I feel that everybody has some or the other emotional instability problem. And that is why sometimes when we are moving on the road, we find some people are so impatient. They keep on honking. Or sometimes we find some people so much intolerant. They become so reactive on small things also. Although afterwards they would feel bad, they'll come up to you and say, I'm sorry.
You'll apologize.
Yes, everything. But at that moment, it is like a fraction of a second maybe, or for some few moments. But that outburst is such that sometimes they cannot handle themselves also. So this is why in today's world, the emotion, this word comes from E plus motion, the energy in motion. So the energy in motion, suddenly what happens to it, that it starts moving maybe very fast, or that's why people, they are not able to control themselves.
So you have seen time flow, and you have seen that generations together, that changes have happened. If you look at the current generation, Gen X, Gen Y, and Gen Z, and all millennials included, there is a change in the way how they behave. There is a change in how their emotional quotient has changed, how they deal with other people's emotion, how they deal with their own emotions. All of that has changed. So it is pretty well documented. But why do you think there is a change like this in generations when it comes to emotions?
It is because maybe that lack of strength to control themselves, or lack of understanding, or maybe their mind is working too fast. And that is why before somebody says something with good feelings also, they start analyzing in their own manner, and they reach to a point where they feel as if they are going to be hurt, or there is a fear that is connected to it. And that is why maybe the emotional outburst is with those people.
So when you say there has been a change, why did the older generations manage emotions so well, and why is there a vulnerability, emotional vulnerability in the younger generation?
It is because I feel that in the older generations, maybe because they had some spiritual background which was working. They normally used to go for the Sunday churches or prayers, and in India also they used to go for some spiritual discourses once in a while, or maybe once in a week or so. So with that understanding they used to get in the discourses, which helped them. Whenever anything took place, they were able to, with maturity, they were able to analyze it well. But in the modern generation, they don't have time. And they feel that life is moving at a great speed. So from morning, the time they get up, to evening, they are always on the run. And the pace has accelerated so much. Maybe that pace was not there in the olden times. And therefore, people took everything gradually. But nowadays, because of the media exposure, the internet, all this, which is moving at a very high speed, and that is making the minds of people, young generation, move at equally high speed.
When you talked about the fast speed and how things are moving, just one of the things crossed my mind. When I was young, when I was a child, I would say, we would watch news on the TV. There would be one news that would come at 8 in the night, and the news bulletin would be for 15 minutes in Hindi and then 15 minutes in English. And the newsreader would be in no hurry to read the news, and the news would be very peacefully delivered to everyone, and it would get over. Now, when you look at the news channel, you would have like 100 seconds, 100 news. So one after the other, in 100 seconds, you would have information for 100 different variety of newses. And when you look at that, is there a necessity for me to listen to 100 news in just 100 seconds? Is it a necessity? But why am I catered to these things? Is there the generation has changed and we need this, or media has changed, or the times have changed? Sometimes it becomes improbable to question who is responsible for it.
Yes. And some years back, we wanted to make an ad on meditation. So there was a TV producer. So he had come to Mount Abu. So we just talked with him that we would like to make an ad on meditation. So he asked, what would you be doing in meditation? So I told him, well, we'll be sitting in silence with a soft music and a commentary. So he started laughing. So I said, why? Why are you laughing? He said, no one would look at that channel. Immediately people would change.
Yes.
I said, why? So he gave me the statistics that in order to catch the minds of people so that they watch our channel, we work at the speed of their mind. Today's young generation catch hold of their minds. We know that their mind works at the speed of about 35 to 40 thoughts per minute. So we have to create about 50 images per minute. So just imagine 50 to 60 images means double the amount of images in 1 minute. Then they would just sit there watching the TV. If it goes below their thinking speed, they immediately change the channel. So it's just going to be a failure creating an ad on meditation. And because of the exposure they get through media, their IQ level is so high, and that is why their thinking capacity makes them constantly to think, and when they have no direction, they get lost and they move in a negative direction very easily, because that is what they are observing. So this is where maybe media has played it. Before, we didn't have TVs at home, or maybe one channel only, and that is why we had no other choice, whatever. And most of the time there was documentary or the news, as you said, no emotional serials also. Nowadays the serials are also very emotional, and seeing that also, it is affecting the minds of the young generation. What is it? So sometimes people, the parents, they say to the child, say exam time, no watching TV, no this, no that, nothing. And when they are hurt, they cannot share, they cannot change their thinking, and so they have no other alternates also. That is going to make them think in a negative direction. And thinking is not seen. So the parents do not know what the child, what is going on in the minds of the child. So when they land up in depression, or when they become too reactive, that is when they realize something is wrong. There is some problem.
There's so many times that I've heard that parents would say about their children. They would say, "Oh, my eldest son is very emotional. You must not let him know of these results." Let's say if he did not pass an exam, or maybe he could not win a race or something, a competitive exam for instance. When the result comes to them, they would be so concerned about it, because they know that he is emotional, and how do you tell this news to him? Well, it is not a big deal actually, but since the child has undergone such a situation where he did not have a support to fall back to, it has become part of his nature now.
Yes.
Now, looking at this is where we are. This is how the world is, as it is the case, Wittgenstein. But when we look at these things, these are the cases, these are the scenarios and the situations that we are into, and now we have woken up to it. We've woken up to it saying that yes, we want to bring about a change. Yes, my child is suffering and something has to change now. Naturally, you would not ask the parent to leave your job, one of you work, one of you take care of the family. It does not work, because there are commitments that we have to address to. But now if you really want to make something effectively, a change which could bring them back, or which could change the course of their future for better, how would we do it?
Well, this is where I feel that the spiritual dimension is missing in the modern lifestyle. Spiritual understanding, being spiritual, or as it is said in the world, that nowadays people are also getting concerned about, before it was just IQ, then EQ, now the talks are of SQ. So the spiritual quotient has to be enhanced. And when the spiritual quotient enhances in the person, then definitely that helps them to bring a balance in their own life. So we have to bring this missing dimension in modern lifestyle, because spiritual wisdom has strength. Knowledge is might. Knowledge is light. So spiritual knowledge, spiritual wisdom has the light and the might, which can give us the inner strength. So till now we had this focus, the outside in, looking at the world, we were behaving or we were moving. But now the focus has to be changed from the inside out approach. So inside I need to empower myself. Inside I need to take charge of my own life in my own hands. bring the remote control in our own hands.
Not just the remote control of TV, but of your own self.
Yes, because our emotional remote control maybe is in the hands of others. Sometimes people, when they come to know, this person will get disturbed or this person would immediately react. You want to see? Huh? And they would say such things. Whenever that person would come, say such things, and then everybody would laugh. So this person naturally gets hurt. And that is when the remote control is, because it's in the hands of others, and I have to take back the remote control in my own hands, empower myself from within with this spiritual understanding, and through meditation, slow down the pace. Because meditation helps us to go into silence, to quieten the mind for some moments, so that all the thoughts that are rushing in the mind, I can calm them down. If I'm able to take this charge of my mental state in my own hands, I can change my world. Isn't it? And I can change myself. And that is when I heal my emotions from within. Now in today's world, I have to understand that I cannot rely on anyone. There is no one whom I can say, yes, this is mine, they can understand me. Today they may be understanding me, tomorrow they may make fun of me and the way I am. So it is better, I cannot, instead of relying on others, I take the charge from within. And through spiritual understanding and through meditation, I empower myself from within. So the inside out approach, how I be outside, first take the control from inside. It reminds me when I was small in school, and since then, when I was 12, I started spiritual discourses. So initially, in the school also, some boys, some girls, they used to make fun of me. Oh, she is so spiritual. So whenever we had a free class, no teacher stand up. So the boys would just laugh at me. Why don't you share some of your spirituality? Trying to, with a laugh, But I don't know how. I used to take it in a very sporty way. This is the right time, I can share something, yes. But slowly and gradually, when I started sharing, and our principal came to know about it, that she's sharing something very good, some small stories or something. So whenever in the primary section, the teachers did not turn up, and the small children used to make a lot of noise, she would call me. And if our class also did not have any teacher, she would call me, why don't you go with the small children? Share some of your stories there. I think they need more. And gradually, you won't believe, initially they were making fun of me, but I knew I had that strength from within to tolerate whatever they were saying. Gradually, they realized that when they had any problem with somebody, they would come up to me. That we are so disturbed. Can you help me in some way? So, in like a private way, they would come up to me, realizing she will help me. There is no other person who can understand me. They'll make fun of me. So they were afraid of going to other friends. But they would come up to me and, do you have any solution? What do you think? Should I go, say sorry, say this? What should I do? Or should I allow that person to realize and they should come forward? And then I realized that why everybody was turning upon to me. And that gave me so much of confidence that no, I'm on the right track. Initially, they were laughing at me, they were making fun of me, but gradually, I realized that they internally had that faith in me. Not only the students, to that extent, the teachers also started having faith on me. Wherever she will be, she can handle the situation very well. So they used to keep me there. Whenever they wanted to go out for on a tour, I remember once we had a school trip to Mahabaleshwar, and I felt I don't want to go on this trip. So I refused. I said, I think I won't be able to go for 10 days because we have some food disciplines. So I said, I won't be able to manage myself maybe. And you won't believe, the teacher and the students, they said, if you are not coming, we'll cancel the trip. Because they knew that if anything goes wrong on that trip, she will be there to handle it. She'll be able to make both of them, instead of the fighting and quarreling, she will be a bridge to again bring them together. And I realized that if I am not going, the whole trip will be cancelled. So then I told them, well, I have some disciplines in my food. I don't eat everywhere and whatever. So they said, we'll make sure you get your fruits first, then we'll go for our lunch or dinner. And when we reached Mahabaleshwar, it was raining so heavily. We reached at 11 o'clock, all the shops were closed and we had no fruits with us. You won't believe, the boys, they went to one of the fruit shop, they woke him up literally, gave us some fruit, paid him double the amount, came back, you first have your food and then we'll have. I was so surprised, and that thing is still on my mind, how much they respected me just because of the spiritual understanding that I had developed since childhood.
It's a very beautiful story to listen to, and how much it could mean for a person to bring about a change in himself or herself. Most of the times we are running around for support. We want someone whom we can fall back to. Why do we not think that why can't we be the support
for others? Yes.
And I think from today, I think that is a big change that we can bring into our lives.
Yes.
And thank you so much for sharing that insights today, Didi. Thank you.
My pleasure.
When we look for emotional support, most often it is outside. Most often it is family. Most often it is someone whom we love. Most often they are our friends. But why look outside when we can gather that strength within? That strength has to come from within. Only then we can be support for others. Why must we be at the receiving end? Why can't we be the ones offering support? If we are emotionally strong, we can help many. God helps those who help themselves. Rightly put, let us be those people who can help others and who can help themselves. On this note, we leave you here with this episode of Change. See you again. Till then, take care.